So I just did some research and here are 4 high-paying dividend stocks in Australia right now that you might want to consider adding to your portfolio. As usual, I look at a few different things when I'm trying to decide what stocks to put into my portfolio. There are a number of things I look at. The first is a dividend yield of 5% or more. Sometimes I'll go slightly lower than that, but that's what I'm aiming for, something 5% or higher. I'm looking for a high dividend stability because I want to make sure that that dividend is going to keep getting paid over and over again at a consistent time each year. And not only that, but the amounts are consistent and preferably growing over time so that my income grows over time. Now, other things I look at, I do look at the financials. Mainly I'm looking at, I don't like to invest in companies that have a lot of debt, so I do look at the debt to equity figure. Sometimes I will look at other financials, but it really depends on how stable the company is overall. And of course, I don't want to just get dividends. I do want to have some growth with the company as well. So I will look at the chart over the last 10 years to see if there is growth with the price over time as well. Because there's nothing better than getting growth both in your dividends and the stock price. I usually stick to the ASX 200, which is the top 200 companies in Australia by market capitalisation. Although in this video, I actually did the ASX 100, so little less research for me. But out of those ASX 100 that fit all of my criteria, only 4 I actually like this time. This actually should be a monthly thing, don't you think? So this is what I've liked in August, I guess. So let's go and have a look at the 4 companies, the 4 dividend stocks that I've chosen. See if you agree with me. They're all 100% franked and I think they're pretty good options. But first, let me quickly show you my process. Firstly is grabbing the list of all of the companies within the ASX 100. This website's pretty good and it's updated regularly and it has a list of all the most major indices in Australia, quite like coming here to grab the companies. But since I only want the companies, I copy and paste this into a spreadsheet. Next, I add the headings of the information that I want into the spreadsheet. Now, I don't get this info for all of the companies, only for those with the high enough dividend yield that I like. So that's the next step. I head into my trading account to get the dividend yields of all the companies that I've just listed. Now, there are websites that can do this for you faster. I just like doing it one by one. So it took me a little over half an hour to get all of the yields and perhaps another hour or so to fill in the rest of the information. So here's all the information. I sorted by the yield highest to lowest that I got from CommSec, which is my trading account. I've also put in the months of when they pay the dividends, the dividend stability, whether the dividends are growing over time. I've just looked and checked to see if they were growing and either they were stable or yes. And as you can see, I've only filled in the information for those with a high enough dividend yield. I looked at the debt to equity and if it was too high, I just noted that it was too much debt. This is just for me, whether I like the company or not. Whether there was general growth in the company overall. So I looked at the stock chart with that to see if it was growing and either yes, no, or stable is what I usually put. And whether they were franked dividends or not, which I only put the information in if I actually liked them. So these are the 4 that I came up with. And let's go into them in a little bit more detail. Fortescue Metals is my first choice. It's an iron ore mining company located in Western Australia. It's got a really high dividend yield of 11.9% currently. The dividends have been growing, especially recently, and there's been really good price growth, especially since 2019. A lot of mining companies are doing well right now due to trade agreements that Australia has with other countries, so a lot of them are doing really well, especially with dividends. Fortescue Metals also has low debt and its dividends are 100% franked, so you get the tax benefits as well. Now, this might not be a long-term investment since mining tends to be a cyclical investment and they probably won't sustain such high dividends long-term, but for holding for around 3 years, it looks really good and then you can reevaluate after that. Okay, Rio Tinto is next. It's another mining company. Now, its dividend yield is currently 8.8% and it has 100% franking on that, which is great. The dividend stability is also nice and high and the company has low debt, again, which I like. The dividends have been growing steadily, actually for a long while, which is really great to see. And this is probably because Rio Tinto is in a few different exploration markets. They don't just focus on one metal. And the price has been rising since 2016 and it looks really good. I like it. Harvey Norman has a 5% dividend yield. It's a retail company that sells furniture and tech products. mainly. Its dividend has been growing. It did dip a bit in the first half of 2020, but like many retail companies did in the first half of 2020, but it's back to paying good dividends again. The dividend yield that I worked out is actually higher than 5%. Usually you calculate the dividend yield by the last annual payout divided by the current share price, which in my calculations would make it 6.56%, about that. So I think CommSec may take into account more than just the last annual payout and just average it out, but I'm not sure. But anyway, the price has been growing. It was stagnant with a slight fall during 2017 to 2019. But they seem to have embraced online sales now more than ever, so the price has been steadily rising ever since they did that. DB Hi-Fi is another retail store. They deal mainly with tech and entertainment type products. I probably like them more than Harvey Norman, even though it says the dividend yield is only 4.7%. I actually calculated it to be higher at 5.48%. And sure, one high dividend payout can skew the yield, but that growth looks really nice and steady. Price has also been growing, and overall there's a lot to like about them, which is why I picked them. So those are my 4 picks for the 4 best dividend stocks right now. What did you think? I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the behind the scenes on how I choose different dividend companies for my portfolio. These are all companies that I would actually purchase. I actually do have some of these already. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and happy investing. Bye.